Today I'd like to touch on a topic that I believe is holding back a lot of young men and they don't even realize it. And it's a concept that everyone has heard of before, but we kind of just push it aside because we think it's too difficult. It doesn't really apply to me. Like, I can handle everything. But it's the idea that your goals are too diverse. I think I've probably spoken about this before, but it was a while ago, so I'm just going to refresh your memory on it. And it's that idea that when you look at people that are really successful in any domain, whatever it is that you know them for, they became really, really, really good. Or not just really good, they became exceptional at a particular set of skills, right? If you look at like your favorite athletes, you know, your favorite celebrities, artists, whatever it is. I don't know why I said artists. Does anyone even have a favorite artist today? But even like your favorite YouTubers, your favorite content creators, like they became really good at that one thing. And those people that have just had like a really successful life, they're good at that one thing. And I'm not saying that this limits you, like you're limited to just getting good at one thing in your life. Like you still need to have, you know, I don't want to say balance, because you know that puts across the wrong connotations of like, oh, you shouldn't like really push hard towards certain things. Like you should still be unbalanced. You know, David Goggins said like you've got to be unbalanced for a while if you're gonna achieve something. And this is where I'm going with this, right? So even though you still want to have a bunch of different things in your life that you want to have achieved, the most successful people and the people who do make serious progress at something, and for you, if you want to make sustainable progress towards something, like David Goggins says, you need to be unbalanced for a while. And you can do it in bursts. Like you're young, like I'm assuming you're young, you're watching this. You've got so many years ahead of you. Like if you pace yourself properly, right, and you break let's just say the next 10 years, right, let's say the next decade, you break it up into little segments, right? Say 2 or 3 years you're working on something specific, and then it gets you to a certain level, then you're working on something else. Like again, like I said, you're not just only working on that thing, but you're focused on that one thing. You have other things that you do on the side, but at the end of the day, you're focusing on one thing. And I will say the one thing that brought my attention to this, to the point where I actually like applied it to my life, is when I was watching Hamza made a video about it, and he basically drew out these 2 circles, right? And one circle had like a bunch of different lines like facing in all different directions. Like it's a circle with arrows going out, and it's a bunch of lines just aiming out, but they're not like very long. Then there was another one with like a circle, but it had a one line and it was very long, right? So it was aiming in one direction, and it was aiming very long, and the length of the lines basically represents the progress you make. And it's the same thing. Like I can't like unsee that. Like now that is literally what I just think about whenever I'm just doing anything, right? And it's focus on like that one thing that was going to change your life the most. Now for me and you, if you're like my age, like 21, probably the thing that's going to change your life the most is like your career, your financial freedom, whatever it is, right? So make that your number one priority, whatever that looks like for you. For me, my number one priority right now is I'm studying to be a chartered accountant, so that's my thing right now. Like it takes up a lot of my time, but also I want to do this on the side. But again, as I said, like you don't need to only do one thing, but your attention should not be pushed in many different directions. So I will list out like what my goals are and how I've like sort of condensed them. The lowest I was able to get it to was 4. Ideally, you should be getting that down to about 3. But yeah, you know, I couldn't help myself. But it comes to that thing where I'm saying like my financial freedom it's split into 2, because I'm doing university and I'm doing this on the side. So those are my 2. Then my other one was building my friend group, which I've touched on so many times in so many different videos, which I advise you to watch. Like you need to have a group of like-minded guys who are just on the same journey as you. Like we need to have companionship. Like as young men, we're so lonely, and you know, a lot of the struggles we face, like just having people around you that you know are facing the same thing as you, like it gives you that encouragement, right? So that's my third goal. And then my 4th goal is gym, but like that's 4th on the list, because for a long time I was like a lot of young men, I was just like, just get into the gym. And you know, that it's a very effective message, and it works, because you know, it's like, you know, I can be struggling with many different things in life, but you know, I can get into shape. Like you can get into shape. You can search like YouTube videos and do workouts like 3 times a week and eat properly. You know, you can get jacked. Like that's something you can do. But an element of choosing that as most of young men's number one goals is that it's easy, right? And I don't want to say it's easy because, you know, most people don't get into shape. It is difficult to be disciplined, and it is a good show of discipline to have like to be in shape. But when you compare it to something like getting rich, right, it's a piece of cake. Like other than the discipline part, it really is just you're just doing the, like, once you get into the routine of it. Like, I know for me, a lot of the hard work was done like when I was searching up, how many calories do I need to have, how do I track my calories, what workouts do I need to do, and everything like that. But really, like, if you sit down for like 2 hours, I mean 2 hours is excessive. Like, that was for me like trying to make like a personalized training plan for myself, like to hit my weak spots. But you can sit down for like 30 minutes to an hour, right? And you just watch like videos on like the best exercises to do, and you just set up a little workout. You set up three workouts a week, and then you go and you do those. And then same with your diet, like you kind of get into the rhythm of it. Once you get into the rhythm of it, it's simple. Like it's systemized, right? You just go to you know what workout you're gonna do, you know what you're gonna eat, you know how long you're going to be doing everything for. Once you've got that set out, it's sort of like an autopilot. And that's the same thing with me with like gym. I still want to stay in shape and get into better shape, but that's like it's not something I'm focusing all of my energy on. You get what I mean? So that's sort of like I've got that on autopilot because I've done like all I'll say the heavy lifting in terms of like writing out my plan and everything. So now I know what I need to do. I just need to wake up and work out, and then I need to eat properly. That's it. Then going back to the other 3 goals, like those are like what I call my active goals, and you want to have like maximum 3. Like if you really have to, like maximum 3 active goals. And my active goals are building my friend group. Like again, even that is kind of on autopilot a bit. Like I've searched for like the friends I want, and then now it's sort of just doing the calls every week, right? That's kind of an autopilot. So you look at it that way, I'm really like the thing I'm mainly focusing on is my financial freedom. And now, like I said, those things are split into 2. But again, my YouTube, right? All I need to do is I've got a slot on Saturday afternoons where I've set out like 2 hours, and I record my videos for the week. And during the week I'll spend, like, again, I'll systemize this. I have my routine written out and everything. I know what I need to do, but the main thing is recording those videos on the Saturday afternoon. And then during the week I'm sort of spending like 5 minutes every day, like scripting my videos basically. But again, even that's kind of an autopilot as well. And the main thing that is taking up a lot of my time right now is just studying. Like I've got exams coming up, but they're really difficult, but like that's my main thing, right? And you want to do that to your life. If you can't condense your goals to like 3, like I kind of struggle to do that. Try and get as many of them as you can to autopilot, but you shouldn't be having any more than 5 goals. Like you should not be having more than 5 goals. Like, I mean, I can't even think of like I've had so many like little goals since I started self-improvement a long time ago. I remember there was a time I was doing like origami, for example, like things like that. It's like, they're cool, but even things like, okay, like meditation is good, but again, you fit it into your routine. It's something I do before I go to sleep, but it's not like an active thing. Like I'm thinking about meditation every day and how I can get better at meditation. It's just that's not a goal. It's something that's in my routine. But when it comes to your goals, ideally you want to put it to 1 goal. Like in a perfect world, you genuinely just want to say the next 2 to 3 years I'm spending so much time on my business, whatever it is that is. If I'm becoming a YouTuber, if I'm doing other things, that is it. I'm focusing on that. That's my main thing, right? That's what takes up all of my time. And then gym is kind of like an everyday thing. You fit that in, right? But you have like an active goal that you're chasing. You want that to be one thing. Stop chasing many different things. I mean, I'll give you an idea. I mean, I'm sure you know how you can end up just getting your attention split in many different ways. Like for me with this YouTube thing, like I've had so many things. Like I have my podcast as well. Like I have like a Christian podcast that I do, like to do like my Bible reading. But again, that's not on like my main goals. Like I'm just doing that as like a nice thing I want to do, right? But it's not like my goals, right? But a thing I had when I was setting up my goals for YouTube, it was like, okay, my main thing is like I need to upload videos and grow on YouTube, right? But then I was like, I also want to start like a private community, a paid private community. That takes a long time. But I had to look at it and I was like, just focus on the YouTube right now. If you focus on the YouTube now, a year from now, if you focus on the YouTube and you've got like a pretty big following, then you can be like, okay, now I want to start my private community. Like, if you can do it that way, you'll be so much better off than you would trying to chase many different things. And the thing is that people don't realize is that when you try and chase many different things, you feel like, oh, I'm really like getting at everything, like I'm making progress in everything. But think back to those 2 circles I spoke to you about, right? You're barely making any progress in everything if your attention is split. And the thing people don't realize is that it's nice to think like, oh, for the next year, I don't want to spend the next year just doing 1 or 2 things. Like I could be doing this and this and this and getting better at that, right? But like what people don't realize is that you're not guaranteed to do that, right? First of all, you're not guaranteed like the next year you're gonna be like consistent on everything, and you're not gonna be doing it to the best of your ability anyways, right? What's more appropriate is for you to look at like your last year. What has your last year been like? Like I had to do the same thing for myself. I'm like, I look back and I'm like, I'm trying to chase all these different things, but when I look at the last year, my track record has not been amazing. It's easy to look forward and be like, I'm gonna hit all my goals, but when you look back, you're like, I've hit no goals. When you look at it like that, then it's like, well, if I spend the next year and I hit one goal like properly, and it's a lofty goal, it's a big goal, like, oh, I want to make like $10,000 a month or whatever, you know, that's the thing everyone talks about. Like, if I hit that within the next year, that's flipping amazing. Like, my life changes forever, right? But also, hitting that one goal is a lot more than the 0 goals I've hit in the last year. And you really need to have that introspection. You need to have the introspection or introspectiveness to look back and be like, have I actually achieved anything in the last year? You realize no, because I've been chasing so many different things. Or if you did, you realize you didn't make any serious progress in it. So it's important. I hope I've gotten the point across. It's important to limit your goals, condense your goals into as few, and they need to be clearly defined. Like I wrote out on my page the goals I have. You need to clearly define those goals and limit them to as little as possible. The golden standard is 1, and then like you have gym on the side as well. But like, it's probably going to be like your career, right? Like I said, we're young men. The thing that will change our lives the most is probably like getting rich, right? But another concept I do want to talk about, which I might touch on in a different video, but it's important to do, like, we're speaking about essentialism here, right? Like this is what Hamza was speaking about. Like there's a book called Essentialism. If you want to read up on this topic more, that one would be good for you. Here's a book, not Hamza. There's this book called Essentialism, and that's where this whole concept is based on. Like, focus on the things that are going to change your life the most. Right? Now, getting down into those goals, don't waste time like trying to do all these little things that we call it mental masturbation in self-improvement. You know, when you watch self-improvement videos and you feel like you're improving, but you're not, because you're not doing the hard things, right? So examples for this would be like, for all your goals, right? And again, ideally you want to limit this to 1 goal, but for all your goals, it's important to list, like I told you to write out on the page the goals you're going to have. Underneath those main goals, I want you to put down like the highest return on investment activity, right? So I'll go through my list, right? So like I said, my number 1 thing, okay, studying, right? My highest ROI activity is actually like studying, but then going deeper into that, it's not just reading all these little things or wasting time, you know, like looking over like sections we're not going to study or we're not going to get tested on or whatever it is. It's doing questions. Like I need to do questions so I can understand the principle. Right, that's my main thing. Then I go down and I'm like YouTube, because I said like my financial freedom thing is split into 2. I got YouTube. What's my highest ROI activity? Record the videos, right? Yes, the scripting and everything is good, like researching like how I'm gonna make better titles and whatever. It's gonna be good, and I need to do that. But the most important thing that I can't miss out on, that gives me 80% of my results, and it's the Pareto principle, right? 80% of your results come from 20% of your activities. What's the activity for my YouTube that's going to get me the highest, that 80% of results? It's recording videos every week, being consistent. Now, I haven't been doing that very well, but that's the aim, right? You recording my videos every week, because that's what's getting me like more confident in front of camera. It's improving my speaking abilities and just my comfortability in front of the camera. That's what's going to make the most important thing for me. Like that's where the skill is going to get developed. It's recording videos. That's it, right? Then I go down to my 3rd one again. I spoke about like I'm building my friend group. What's the most important thing there? I just need to like show up for the calls every Sunday, right? That's it. And then for gym, like I said, do the workout. That's it. Obviously eat clean and everything, but like the highest ROI activity is doing the workout. I want you to do that. Condense your goals to as few goals as possible. Ideally 1. Don't aim for more than 3. Try to cut it down to 3, and then from those goals I want you to write down your highest ROI activity underneath there and focus on that. It's really important. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to join the Self-Improvement Brotherhood, and until next time, I'll see you boys.